Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. So good to be sharing some energy with you today. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath, and I am going to jump right into the title of the video, and I'm going to make it a quick one. It is the end of a long day, but I still have some clients scheduled for tonight here shortly, so I had to get this in, especially on this portal date of the 15th. Today is a fantastic day. Yesterday and today are fantastic days for scripting down what you would like to create as you move into 2022 or next year. And so no matter what it is, this is a great time frame to do that. Write down what you would like to welcome into your life and what you would like to release, what you would like to embrace, what you would like to build. It's a beautiful day for that. These last 2 days were the vibration of that. My husband, I had him write out his list, and I will recommend to anybody to do that. Even if you see this tomorrow or in the coming days, do it under the energy of the 14th and the 15th. It will be very beneficial for you. Now, let me jump right into the video. Frankie and Grace and how foreshadowing saved my life. Or saved me in so many ways. Frankie and Grace is a show that's very popular. You can find it on Netflix, starring Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin, the iconic Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. And what I will tell you about this is I watched this many years ago with someone that has passed away, but we used to watch the show with them all of the time. And we loved it. It was our favorite little show. And we thought we were Frankie and Grace. I was Frankie and she was Grace in so many ways. And sometimes we would switch roles because we definitely had different personality types. And it would be that. But I was the artistic, metaphysical artist down to literally, I remember Frankie's episode premiering where she did the art show. And I was actually doing my first art show, audible confirmation on my laptop here. I was doing my first art show in reality at that time. So there were so many wonderful parallels. Well, there's a lot of foreshadowing in that show, and I'm living another storyline in that show right now that has nothing to do with the one that I started out living. And it's actually quite wonderful, and I embrace it totally. But I had a really cool thing happen to me that was a full circle moment. Recently, my bestie sent me a meme, and it had Lisa Kudrow in it. And I was like, you don't know how significant this is, because the person who I used to watch the show with passed away and would not have known or sent that. But what happened was there was a storyline in season 4, I believe, where there was a new cast member introduced. Her name was Sherry, and Sherry became a friend of Grace, I believe, and this greatly disturbed Frankie. It's so interesting how this plays out. It greatly disturbed Frankie, and Frankie got a new friend too. So they both had two blonde friends that came in that were their friends at the time, and it was disrupted because they had their insular bond as best friends. And I knew, because I always pay attention to what my angels communicate with me, I was very uncomfortable with the storyline. And I remember knowing that my friendship with the person that passed away was going to be disrupted in that same kind of way, because for whatever reason, we were living very parallel lives to that storyline. Maybe some of you guys can relate to having a show or a movie or a sitcom or something seem like it was actually playing out in your life in so many ways. Well, I remember stopping watching because I didn't want to know that either one of them had the capacity to have other friendships. And I know that seems rather immature, but I was quite codependent and quite attached to that friendship. And I cared about them far more than they cared about me. And right. So I remember knowing, like, oh no, there's going to be a disruption because my angels speak to me in riddles and codes. And I understood what that was going to be. Well, what ended up happening is that I got my Sherry, meaning the blonde person quite literally came in. And what I love about Lisa Kudrow, if you watch Friends, she was the eccentric, bubbly friend, very much an Aquarius energy, if you will. The person that showed up in my life, I call them Cheyenne. If you guys have seen that other video, that's not their name, but is eccentric and bubbly and looks fantastic in bubblegum pink and all of the things, very much like Sherry did in that show. Now, while Sherry was Grace's friend in that show, and I identified as Frankie, the roles were reversed in our real lives, where I got this wonderful connection with a wonderful, beautiful human who actually cares about me, who values me and loves me the way that I used to love my version of Grace. Okay, if you're following the storyline, the person that passed away would be considered Grace in that show. And I was so unfortunately triggered, and she wanted me to be, by the way that things happen in our dynamic. But a few weeks ago, when my friend sent me this meme. It was just to say congratulations to something. And I'm going to take a screenshot of it and I'm going to put it on the community page because you know I like to show you the receipts. And she has no idea about the deep history and richness of this for me. I never talked to her about it. I didn't tell her about the importance of it. It is not a show that I have watched with her or shared with her. It was something that was relegated specifically for me and that person that passed away. But when she sent it to me, my angel said, we were always in the midst of this. The thing that you thought was so unfortunate, the thing that you thought was going to be a terrible switch, the thing that you thought was going to break your heart actually came in to break apart a very unhealthy dynamic and to put you on a fresh and brand new start with someone who actually had the wherewithal, the temerity, and the gravity to carry you through the next part of your life. The wonderful thing about releasing karmic relationships is that they usually cause you to lose. You lose money, you lose your sanity, you lose your balance, you get into their fragmented energy, and everything in your life stagnates. And I couldn't understand how come I couldn't be great. And it wasn't for lack of me trying. And I can't blame that all on that karmic relationship. But I will say that as soon as I disconnected from it, even though I thought it was going to be devastating, it was actually one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life. And when you come into karmic alignment with someone who is right, the Sherry on the show, or my version in my real life, my Cheyenne, what happens is you accelerate in every way, in ways that you hadn't ever planned. So because Cheyenne and I, or the Sherry of the show and I, had this really good vibrational alignment, and she was an actual healthy soulmate for me, someone that I was supposed to meet, someone that I shared so many impossible things with in common, meaning we come from completely different worlds, and the parallels in our lives are so crazily uncanny that I could not even spend hours here regaling you. We always joke that people would vomit if they heard us on the phone because it's just so much like, yeah, me too, and I support you, and yes, and you're amazing, and that's been years of that. That's not love bombing. That's not fake staging. That's not any of the things that a lot of us empaths and narcissists have dealt with in our dynamics. This has been a solid. We just celebrated our anniversary, 5-year connection that actually has been fantastic and solid and consistent. That's what we're looking for, empath, when we get out of those toxic dynamics. But it also skyrocketed my career because of the place that she came into my chart when it was time for her to be near. It actually helped me financially grow in ways that I could have never known, in ways that I could have never predicted. Me as a psychic and the intuitive could have never predicted. That's the magic of coming into alignment with someone who isn't ridiculous. God bless it. Someone who is actually there to help you ascend. And it's very a nice audible confirmation for my laptop again. Thank you, angels. That person was actually there to help me ascend. And so that thing that I saw on the show, if you guys watch Frankie and Grace, you'll remember when those new friendships came in and they were both somewhat threatened, as all friends will be. And even I had to go through that dark night of the soul and search whatever jealousy was in me. And I even came to the point where I realized that no, my other friend, that was the time, my Grace in the scenario, needed to have a friend that related to the things that she went through, that was a mother like her and all of it. So I really released it to God and made my peace with it in so many ways. But then she kept trying to kind of throw it in my face. And I was like, oh, she wants me to feel a way. She didn't go out of her way to protect me. She went out of her way to injure and hurt me. And what I realized is that that is not a soulmate that could stick and stay that I could ever let be. That was not someone who was loving me like Frankie. If you know Frankie, she is absolutely about love and light and forgiveness and passing the talking stick. I remember one of the last days that I was with the person that passed away, my Grace of Swords, that I offered her a talking stick because she was being so shut down and withholding. I have a video up here that says anybody that really loves you wants to be in resonance with you, not dissonance. And she sought out ways to be in dissonance with me. She sought out ways to make me the enemy. And it was such an uncomfortable thing because I only wanted to be her best friend. I only wanted to be the person that adored her. And it floored me how she rejected me. And I couldn't understand it. And it was because the grass for her was greener. We both had two new soulmates come in. For her, the soulmate that came in was absolutely karmic, that caused losses and tragedy, despondency and addictions, and caused her to spiral out, caused job losses, caused loss of respect from her friends and her family, caused loss of love and connection from one person in her life who actually cared about her, and that was me. And I'm not being overzealous. I know that for a fact. What I will say is that I got all of that back and more, meaning everything that she was taking and depleting was things that Cheyenne came in to replenish me with. I was malnourished in that connection. And what happened was God sent in my Sherry, quote unquote, from the show, and I was resistant and I didn't want to let go of my grace. But God knew that they already had the better person to be in the place, the actual soulmate, the actual connection, the actual direction that I was supposed to go. They said you had new lessons to learn, and with grace you can never grow. And also, here's the message for some of you that are having a hard time letting go of any kind of connection, romantic, platonic, friendship, bestie, or otherwise. My grace had to grow. The person that passed away had to grow. She had to know what it was to be riddled with deception and lies and to have someone look in her face and lie and gaslight. She needed to have that experience because she's only given that experience to other people. She'd only been incredibly manipulative and cruel and mean and evil, really, in so many ways to other people. She never really had anybody do that to her face. She needed to have her form of a grace. She needed her grace, and I needed my Frankie. And it came in the form of Sherry. If you're following with me, that's the character that Lisa Kudrow played. So when a few days ago, my bestie sent me this meme just congratulating me on something else that had nothing to do with anything I'm talking about, it was of Lisa Kudrow standing next to Jennifer Aniston in the show Friends. But my angel said, and now the real connection, the real friendship, the real soulmate story begins. This is your actual soulmate. This is your actual friend. This is a person that we were trying to get you away from grace so that you could begin a new chapter of abundance and success and flourishing. This is your Cheyenne, and here she is. She doesn't even know all of this. She will hear it when she hears the video. She's my number one supporter. She literally has been with me since I had 30 subscribers and has been on the count with me when I got to 1,000. She was at 999 texting me. She does time counts. She counts the days when we get to hang out. She does all of the things that make me feel loved and nurtured. I never had to tell her I needed any of it. She just intuited it because we're actually emotionally connected. The same way that my past person that passed away, Grace, was connected to her karmic soulmate. They had a telepathic connection too. And for a lot of us, that's hard to process. We think, oh no, what did I do? How did I get this wrong? But I protected this thing. But maybe that thing was never for you. I have no doubt that the person who passed away before that happened had many happy days, many happy times. Of love and exchange, of feeling delight as she discarded and pushed me away. But she was happy because she had someone that took my place that felt right for her, someone that she had a karmic assignment, a soulmate at Akashic record assignment to meet up with, just like I had my assignment to meet up with my Cheyenne, my Sherry, if you're watching still from the Frankie and Grace show. So even though I was reluctant to let it go when it happened, and I wanted to protect my friendship, and I wanted someone who would protect me, they said the person that will protect thee is Sherry, meaning Cheyenne, meaning the new person in your life. The person that you were so attached to, your Grace, never was going to do you right, treat you right, or do right by you, was never going to be honest with you or communicate with you or give you the things that you deserve. She was never going to give you the credit for being the family person that you were to her or her child. But that is a complete opposite with Cheyenne, and it's wild. I am not just included, I am loved, I am family. It is easy, and that's how relationships that are guided divinely should be. Not to say that we wouldn't have our challenges or that we haven't had our moments where we've had to hold each other accountable and have healthy boundaries and all of that stuff. But what I will tell you is it's much easier when you're in alignment in the right direction. When she sent me that little screenshot, which I will put in the community page, it was a confirmation of what my soul already knew, that my Sherry had arrived and that she would be true and that I would have a connection that would see me through some of the best days of my life. Just like Grace, the past connection that passed away, saw me through some of the worst and created some of the worst days of my life. Everything balances out. Did I need to stay and force myself to stay in the connection with the person who passed away? It would have never happened anyway. It would have just gotten worse and worse until it hurt me so bad I had to separate. And eventually that's what happened. And that's why sometimes you want to listen ahead of time, learn from me, not just what I'm saying, but what I did. I left before the tower could fall, before I could get injured in a way that I could probably never recover from. And as it stood, I went through a dark night of the soul because of the betrayal and the lies and all of the things I had to deal with. The truth of the matter is, sometimes God will put you through that hell so that you can get to heaven. And amen. Cheyenne is a version for me of heaven on earth, a friendship that is reciprocal, a person that knows my worth and I know theirs, and I value it and I invest into it. That would have never happened with quote unquote grace. So when those two blonde women came our way, two friends that blew our friendship apart, even though it didn't happen from my end. Cheyenne was never, she never overstepped her boundaries. She never did any shit talking. She always was like, I can't wait to meet your friend. She was as sweet as she could be. She was bubbly, she was kind, and she meant it. There was no passive aggressive energy. It was completely different on the other end of the situation that I was in. There was express jealousy, express resentment, express racism. So different night and day. And now I realize that everything lined up in the exact right way. I could not be friends with a racist for the rest of my life, and I could not be friends with someone who was colorist, who thought on some level that they were better than me, and who was disgusted that I was ascending in my career and with my divine energy regarding teaching and connecting with people. That was not a relationship that could stand. And so what happened was God had to intervene and break it up and put me on a good and wholesome, a holy, pure land, meaning a connection that was worthy of me, a connection that was worthy of she, meaning Sherry, the Sherry of the show, and also give a connection to the Grace who passed away where she could grow, a lesson that she had to learn, things she had to know, because no predictions that I could give could get her to a place of understanding that I was never there to hate, but I was only there to protect. She wouldn't understand that because protection is not something she would ever do for me, but it is something that I get in spades from Sherry. Whether it's Cheyenne or Sherry, potato, potato, some of you guys are being led away from connections and it feels excruciating in the time frame. I can't remember how much pain I was in, but I think it's recorded here and you can go back and see it. I documented it. The truth of the matter is, I can't remember it because it was birth pangs. Sometimes we have to go through excruciating pain and release something that never cared about us or loved us so that we can be free of it. And then you can move into a much better situation that is of greater benefit to your soul in every way. You grow in soulmate connections and you increase your finances, you increase your mental capacity, you increase your health. My health is better in a connection with this person. We just did a health walk earlier today. And that is the beauty of having a good Sherry or a Cheyenne that comes your way. That would have never happened. The other person made fun of me, made fun of my weight, and did it with her person because that was her Grace, someone who was cold and cutting and cruel and would rather have vodka for breakfast than Fruit Loops. And that's okay. That means that she's in alignment with the right person and would rather have Vicodin and Adderall and pills. That means she was in alignment with the right person. That was never my will. But God said, my will be done, not yours. And sometimes, empath, God says to us, my will be done, not yours. I did not understand his will. And now, like I said, if you watch that show, Frankie and Grace, I'm living in another timeline that is quite divine, where I'm excited and joy is mine again. And I feel good. And I get why all of that had to blow apart because they said that Grace never had your best interest at heart. She never wanted to see you succeed. She never wanted to see you elevate. She never cared about you. She was never not going to play games. It was always going to be what you got. And when you left it alone, you got to the jackpot. Amen. Some of you guys are about to get to your jackpot. I speak that over you. The year 2022 is about coupledom, partnership, and connection in every way, whether it's romantic or platonic or it's just your bestie. It means that it's time for you to get into connection with yourself for some of you, connection into good business partnerships. But 222 is the vibration and angel number of connection, of partnerships. We learn things in partnerships, even the toxic ones. That was one of the greatest lessons of my life. When I was talking to my therapist, she said, you should write a book. Um, she was like, what you experience with this person is absolutely so funny. And I hadn't told her that I have, in fact, done that. But what I will say is that I learned so much from that past connection of the person that passed away. I put Grace to rest with Grace. Grace taught me about grace, having grace for my place, while she acted like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. And she was a whole lie. But the truth is, it emboldened my pride, my energy, and my tenacity to fight until dive deeper into my spirituality and to know I will never be treated that way by anybody ever again. It's done. It is finished. The prophecy is fulfilled. So the second that Sherry came into that show, I knew everything was going to change. She didn't understand why I was so uncomfortable, even though I explained it on some level to her. But there were some things they would never allow me to say to her because they said she will not understand, she will not believe you. And in fact, like Peter did Jesus in the Bible, she will mock you and deny you. And she did, in fact, do all of those things. I am nobody's Jesus. Please do not get it twisted. But I say that we get those allegories and stories from the good word because it will happen to us, empath, in some way. God was preparing us for the people that will look at us and tell us we're a lie, that we don't have psychic gifts, that we are not prophetic in any capacity, that what we're doing is devil work. Just like the Pharisees said of Jesus when he upturned their tables and said, "This is balderdash. You are making a mockery of my Father's energy and name." That's what I said as I departed from Grace and her other Grace that wanted clout and fame. I knew that I wasn't wrong. Whether I had a concrete proof or not, I got all the concrete proof I needed afterwards, but I knew in that moment. Sometimes you will have to trust your intuition and move forward. And when you do, you will be rewarded so greatly when you bump into your Cheyenne or your Sherry. I'm wishing that for you. I'm speaking it over you, and I want you to let go the thing that you think you cannot do. It was an albatross to me. I regret nothing. Even though that person felt like they played me, it was them who ultimately got played in the worst of ways. And it was me who was elevated and saved and now given luck, abundance, and kindness in spades. Won't he do it? Won't the universe orchestrate a thing for you? Even in your darkest days, they always come through. I couldn't be more grateful. Frankie and Grace helped me prepare for the beautiful things that were coming my way. And again, I live in another timeline of it now, another storyline, and I'm delighted. But I will say, it was worth every painful day. And when I got that screenshot, I knew it is finished. Joy, abundance, and a kaleidoscope of rainbows have come my way. It's unicorns and happiness, empath. That doesn't mean there won't be future struggles, but it does mean that there will never be that rocky, betrayal ridden path. That is over. I love you guys so much. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue to see evolve together. I have a message here from Miss Emily. Glad to be here. Thank you for putting this into hopeful alignment. Let's see here. My brain does not think this way when I'm mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically body slam. Oh, my sweet Emily. You and I need to do a reading someday, my love. You and I will do a reading someday. I speak that over you. It is essentially, as I'm speaking over you, the time to bring that into fruition. Your angels say there is new love, hope, and joy coming your way, and so it is. And we stop at 2:22. Check the timestamp, Emily. That's no coincidence. Talk to you guys soon. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together.